Hello, everybody. Guess what? We are here for another episode on a drama free Black love series. And guess what? We're going to be talking about why are relationships so temporary. I have two people that are joining me, the lovely Dr. Alicia.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Hey.
How
And
you
then
doing, Jazz?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Today is Tuesday. I'm feeling all the good energy, all the vibes. I made a shirt. It got love on there. I'm giving. It's giving. And we have another guest that's going to be joining us. Her name is Peace Jones.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I am Pete Jones.
Yes. So, I'm going to just make sure that everybody knows why we do Black love, why we talk about a drama free Black love. Dr. Alicia, give your intro, then Peace Jones, give your intro, and we're going to jump right into all the topics, okay?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Alicia, and I am a social worker. I am also a therapist, and I'm a full professor of social work at my home institution. This is what I love to do. I also enjoy every Tuesday night having the drama-free. It's drama-free Black love because I think that this is my quest in life is to have these conversations. Not that I have all the answers, but to listen to what people are saying and what questions people have, and then we could just bounce ideas around. And I'm very excited to have our guest here, Peace Jones. And so I'll pass it over to you, Peace. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Pete Jones. So I just enjoy dating talk in general. I actually have a segment on my YouTube channel called Chronicles where I give my advice. Now, I'm no expert. However, I have dated a lot. So I give my advice and my tips, stories, good things dating, bad things, maybe, why certain things are taking place in the dating field. So I just enjoy talk, and I'm here to give my perspective tonight.
Okay, wait, you were breaking up a little bit. So did you say you give relationship advice?
No.
What did you say? This is great. Okay. Maybe okay.
So I give my tips. However, I'm no expert. This is just my advice based on my dating experiences.
Okay. All right. So you have learned experience that you feel like you can share.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
do I hear an echo?
It does. We are having some type of technical difficulty. So I don't know where it could be coming from, but just a little bit of an echo, yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, go ahead, Jasmine. Hopefully I won't have to hear that echo. That's kind of bothersome. But okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you guys, literally, this series was birthed to raise awareness about healing and restoration within the Black community with a licensed therapist. We have Dr. Alicia here, and our topic for tonight is going to be why are relationships so temporary? The first question that I have for both of you, Miss Peace and Dr. Alicia, what is the estimated time frame, or what are your best guesses on why relationships are so temporary?
Okay, I'll go first. I think that relationships are so temporary because of multiple reasons. But I would say ultimately, I think that people are looking for something better. They're looking for something more. They're never satisfied with what they have. From my experience, I'm in the DMV area, Maryland and Virginia, and there's a really well-off Black professionals, really attractive men, really attractive. And I think it makes a lot of, your dating candidates feel like just something better or war. And so it's hard for them to settle, even if they have a good candidate that they're dating. They just want more.
Okay, so people are okay, so it's almost like why am I gonna sync up and rest everything on this one particular person when it's like 5 other nice looking men out here? And so I don't know if I want to settle down because could be something better. Oh, that's interesting. So you think that perhaps um, you're finding someone that you like, but you're not quite certain if that's the right person for you. And so you don't want to commit yourself too quickly to this one person. And so you just kind of date around with a whole bunch of people. You got Monday guy, Tuesday guy, Wednesday guy kind of rolling around. And so you have to you're apprehensive about picking one. Why should I pick one? This one is tall. This one is funny. This one is cute. This one, everybody has all these aspirations, and it's very difficult to find everything you're looking for in one person.
Yeah, so that's not my stance or my outlook, but I think that's what people around where I live think. And I also think it could be like a Gen Z, millennial type of, but I also think that even outside of dating multiple people, I think that people just feel that there's just always something better. Like, it's like, oh, well, we had one argument. I really need to figure this out, or can I just start dating? Like, it's like they just think that there's just a better someone who's better looking, someone who won't argue as much, instead of on the issues within your relationship with that person. People are just quick to like disregard people, just start all or go find something new.
Ah, interesting. What do you think, Jasmine? Looking for somebody that has it all.
So I think it's the ability to like get that instant gratification, right? Like, let's say I stop talking to somebody today. Well, nothing stops me from getting on an app tomorrow to get that high of somebody finding me attractive, or somebody thinking that, I'm intellectual, or I'm interested, right? Also, I don't think there's enough I don't know, like, what is the result that people are getting with dating? Let's say if I do sleep with one person, what does this journey have entail? Is it going to be more trauma? Is it going to be more people that are, literally, is it going to be more trauma that I have to go through? How much of this do I have to take? Am I sure that this is the best that it's going to get? Like, it's so many internal thoughts that you have to have when it comes to like, if I stick here, what is the greater good? What is the greater hope? What is my end result? So it's like, is there an incentive to stick with it? Is there an incentive? Do we have an incentive? What is the incentive?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're saying, why am I sticking with this? If this person doesn't have everything that I'm looking for, why am I sticking with it and wasting my time? Do you feel like that? Like, this is gonna be a big waste of time, and the real man for me, or the real person for me, is out there, and I have just missed out on what could be because I have put all my eggs in this one little basket, and it ain't satisfying anyway.
Potentially, right? Like, I think the reason why we stop the relationship is because, just like to your point, there has to be something better. But then it's just like, if it's not anything better, how bad is it going to be over here? How much worse can it be? Because if it's good, or if it's somebody that you can work through, you're not going to have thoughts like, okay, I don't want to be here. But if it's not meeting your standard or your expectation, it's just like, how worse can it get? And what's stopping me from just finding another opportunity with another person?
Interesting. And I think like just that sort of is it FOMO? Is that what it's called? Fear of missing out on the next guy or the next person that could be better. I'm really curious about that. Maybe someone could be better. And I think that's like really interesting because in the long run, while you're having these kind of, and excuse me if I might be wrong, but you're having these pretty superficial relationships with people, because if it's just if it's temporary, then you're not together long enough to really know someone, or you're not together long enough for that person to really know you. So it can be pretty lonely to just bounce around to not like you hoeing around or anything like that, but just dating around like that can be pretty lonely because you don't have that special someone that really knows you. And in a lot of ways, you could just feel like, God, it'd be nice if I had like a real companion, someone that I could really do all of these things with that I'm interested in. And so I just wonder if that could be like a barrier to taking a leap of faith and just saying, this person, do I expect my partner to give me everything I wanted? Our relationships now, we're putting way more emphasis on companionship. We got to do everything together. We got to exercise together. We got to work together. We got to do all these things. You have to have everything aligned on one person. And so sometime I'm reading a book right now on it about how we're putting way too many expectations on relationships that wasn't there 100 years ago. It wasn't there 100 years ago. Like, why should your partner be everything? I mean, you could kind of like say, I have fun with my partner in these ways, but some of the other things that I'm doing, I could spend time with my girlfriends doing this. He doesn't like to travel. Maybe I like to travel. I can travel with my friends. I can do something. So sometimes you can farm out some of your needs to other relationships in a way that's still respectful of your main relationship. And then you won't have that FOMO. What do y'all think about that?
I mean, I agree, but it's just like, where is the standard for what expectations are supposed to happen between men and women? And I just want to pay homage to James Sharp. He's definitely giving us a ton of feedback right now. And he's saying relationships are temporary because men don't understand female human natures and behavior. And women are no longer respecting traditional men in this genocentric society. Women aren't traditional anymore. He also says, as a married man, here's my advice. Be unapologetically manly with a backbone. Understand human nature. Do the work because you understand her nature and have an abundant mindset. He then says, also, strongly recommend post-nups. What? Okay. Prenups can be an incentive or I'm trying to think, did I get it? Right. Hold on. He recommends post-nups. Prenups can be thrown by an legal judge, but post-nups incentivizes her to stay. Post-nups can function like a wheel. And it says 3 words describe me and my wife: lovers, companions, and friends. And Molly says yes, and to have a healthy balance. So let's be clear. I never heard of post-nups. I definitely heard of prenups. And the incentive to stay, it's now just only on the woman. Okay, Mr. James Sharp. Again, I'm hearing you and I'm valuing what you're saying, but I never heard of post-nups. So that's something else for us to talk about.
Well, I'm pretty interested to hear about what he means by traditional. Women don't want traditional men or traditional marriage. I'm not understanding. It'd be interesting to hear what he means by that. Why don't he feel that women?
I think he was maybe trying to say like women don't want to be traditional wives or play that traditional role. That's what I assume he was trying to say.
But it's 2022. This is the modern, everything is the modern era, and traditional doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way of doing things. There were problems with marriages back 100 years ago. There were serious problems. And when I say putting expectation on marriage, 100 years ago, the expectation of marriage was, I have to be married to you in order to eat.
Right.
When marriage was first, it's like I have to be married to survive. So, when marriage was first put together, and it was first something that we do, is that I have to be married to you or I don't get my inheritance. And women didn't get inheritance back then. So you needed to be married because of the money would go. So the way things were structured back then, and may we never return to those days, the way things were structured was put together where it was almost like a survival mechanism to be married. I mean, that's like if you look at the history of marriage, it is a survival mechanism, where now it's not so much of a survival mechanism. Things change, and as things change, so should relationships and marriage and everything else. So I'm all about staying on top of I don't know. I'm all about staying on top of what's happening in the modern world. I'm not interested in going back to anything in the past. I'm looking more so how things are now and in the future, and everything can be negotiated. So
That's interesting. Your take on it.
mhm.
Also, what is the average? What should be the average length of the talking stage, then the relationship, and then the marriage? Because maybe if there was a more reasonable time frame, then people would have an incentive to stay. Because nothing seems like you got some people, they talk for 3 days and they married for 30 years, right? Or they was in a relationship for 6 years, then they get married and they done in 1 month. So it's just like, what is the standard? Talking phase, relationship phase, and marriage phase.
You gonna take your piece?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I think that it's funny, I was listening to a podcast earlier that was saying that marriage should just in general be a lot harder to do. Like you should be required to go through like a certain extent of time where you like commit to this person, you show that you really want to be in this relationship, you guys like really practice certain things that may, I guess, occur in marriage or whatever, right? But as far as the dating stage, I feel like sometimes the question is, and this sounds really bad, but are these people even in it to win it? You know what I mean? Like there's been so many times that I spoke with people, men and women, and it's like, yeah, we've been together for 4 years, but I don't really like her. Or we've been together for 2 years, but I'm just here for whatever reason. So that's another thing. Like I feel like people will date and date and date. And then when you ask them, like, well, hey, do you see yourself with this person or do you enjoy this person? Are you guys compatible? It's like, no, like people are just there to, I guess, not be lonely. People are there to maybe hold some type of status, or the person's attractive. It's like arm candy. So sometimes I think that we have to go all the way back to the drawing board and be like, why are we dating certain people? Where is this going? Are we even happy here? And then look at why things are so temporary. Because if you're with someone that you really don't want to be with, obviously it's going to be temporary to a certain extent because you literally have no plans for the future. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. I think, when Jasmine, when you were talking about that question, what I thought about was the different phases of relationships. So it's like the beginning phase, that's like the first 18 months, or a year to 18 months is typically like the fall in love phase. And in that phase is you notice everything that you have in common. It's the where you get the butterflies in your stomach, and you're all excited when they call you and text you, and it's like it's really fun, and it's you get anxious, you're all excited about it. It's that falling in love phase where you notice all the things that you love about each other, and then after that 18 months, or sometimes even before then, that's when you have your first argument. And I think, and that's when you start noticing things that you don't have in common, and the thing is that we have to be realistic about relationships. And I think maybe what's happening is that for some reason we're getting messages, and I have ideas about where these messages are coming from. We're getting messages that really flies in the face of realistic expectations in terms of being with somebody or dating somebody long term, or even getting married, like James Sharp is talking about in the chat. Thank you, James. Just those sort of ideas that, okay, we have our first argument, it's a catastrophe, it's not going to work, and then I should wipe my hands of the whole thing and walk away. Where sometimes when you have this tough part of relationship, all relationships have a tough part where you start noticing things that you don't really like about that person. Now what do? How do you express that? How do you talk about that in a way that's respectful, in a way that's helpful? Because how am I supposed to know? Like, give me some feedback on how I'm doing, really, And so you have to really be comfortable with communication and opening up. And then that, when you get through that tough phase that all relationships go through, every single one of them go through a tough phase. On the other side of that is the deep connection. That's where the real love kicks in. That's where the dedication, the commitment, the trust, all of that kicks in, and you'll have an even better relationship than you did right at the beginning.
Dr. Alicia always knows like what to say and how to say it. I definitely will say, y'all want to go to the next question, or did you have anything to add to this, please?
No, I was just gonna say I totally agree. I feel like once you leave that honeymoon phase, it is where a lot of people tend to give up. But I think we also weren't really taught to navigate through that. Like a lot of people just get scared and they don't know how to get through that. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
I definitely say the seeing, like I'm someone that learns by example. Like if you want me to braid your hair, I can look at a YouTube video and I can watch someone braid hair and I can braid hair. I come from a divorced household. I have not seen adults go through the hard things, like getting through that challenging phase. I haven't witnessed it. And it's just like maybe if I saw it, I would be able to say I have better tools, or like how to navigate it, or how okay it is not to be like on one accord with your partner. But for me, it's just like when you get through that hard phase, which all of us are gonna have it, like you said, Dr. Alicia, where is the model? Where is the book? Where is the cheat code? Oh, we just gonna be upset for 24 hours. We gonna love each other tomorrow. We can get through this. Like, what's the standard of getting through it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, some people just have it. Some people have a natural knack. They have a knack of just like being able to deal with conflict. And it could be that it was modeled for them growing up. It just could be they just have really good they have really good emotional regulation skills, because a lot of times things go haywire because you can't keep your shit together basically in the middle of an argument. By the way, that's the single element that can predict whether a relationship is healthy or if it's not healthy. It's how you deal with conflict and if you're able to regulate yourself in a way. So we know what happens when you're not good at regulating and you're very reactive and you're very triggery and you lash out at each other. That is the demarcation. It has nothing else to do with anything. It has to do with some of it is what you saw, that you really were people calling each other names in your household. Do you feel like that was okay to do? Part of it is some of that sort of thing, but it is being able to regulate your emotion. That is really the central theme of a healthy relationship versus one that's not healthy and probably will end, or some people just stay together miserable. So, yeah.
All right. Thank y'all. Like, I feel like we're getting a ton of feedback. Even James said he's argued with his wife before. It doesn't mean that, he's walking away. It just means that he says that his wife operates out of her feelings and emotions, and he's been married for 8 years with 2 children. And, he pulls back in order to let her emotions kind of come out. He leans back to the conversation. Maybe that's a practical way out for men and women to coincide when they're having conflict. Thank you, James, again for all that you're doing. Again, Maui said relationships are work. Society is caught up in the glamorous relationship, marriages, and children. They are a sense doing it for validation. People are infatuated with the idea of love. I completely agree with Maui. I think it's easy to take a picture. It's easy to want it, but it's hard to have it, and it's work. It is work. It is work. Love is work, but not in a bad way, right? Because you clock into your job every day, right? So it's just like you got to clock into that person. Any other thought about what James is saying? Because he has a lot to say. He's on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna respond to James because he made this comment about men pull back and walk away. I don't know. Maybe he's talking about himself. Okay, never argue with your wife. Okay, I can hear that. She operates based on her feelings and emotions, her emotions, no matter how dumb. I don't know about that's I don't. It just comes across. I don't know if that's what James is trying to say, but that sounds a little condescending. Maybe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking about and expressing and sharing your feelings about something. So I think that's really nice. And so their law to her, I let her calm down. And I think what he was saying was that once she calms down, then he returns to the conversation in a way that's supportive. But one thing, I would challenge James a little bit there is that maybe when she's talking about her emotions and her feelings, maybe that would be a wonderful time to tune in to what she's saying and to be empathetic to her. And to also, because James, you're a human being, and that means you also have feelings and emotions. Perhaps you can also, in that moment, kind of share your feelings and emotions. I'm almost certain that if you tune into how she's feeling, she won't need to calm down. Because I think that if you can offer any sort of empathy in the middle of a conflict, that would definitely help because I don't know, I've been in sessions all day, and one of the things that comes out is that discussions escalate because the person feels like you're not paying attention to them. You're not hearing what I'm saying, you're not hearing my feelings, and you're dismissing my feelings and my emotions, and so that tends to escalate. So maybe I don't know. I don't know if this is what's happening to you, James, but I just want to give a general statement to everybody that when you do have this inevitable conflict that happens, you really should tune into how they feel, what's going on with them, reflect on their feelings, listen to them, because if people feel heard in the middle of a disagreement, which all of us are going to have some sort of disagreement because you're two different people, if you make that person feel heard, it will automatically bring down the tension. just making just letting the other person know that they matter and their feelings matter and their thoughts matter. So anyway, I'll leave it there. You can go on, Jasmine.
Absolutely. I think our next point, because again, Dr. Alicia eloquently summarized what he said, but also given another practical tool, which is listen to your partner, hear her out. That can also help to de-escalate the situation. The next question I have, what are indicators that your relationship should be ending? What are the indicators? We talk about it being temporary, but what are the indicators?
I would say if you just don't feel happy, like obviously no relationship is perfect. Obviously you have the ups and downs, but if you just feel like this just isn't working out, you feel drained, you feel unhappy, like it's not thriving, maybe you guys have already tried to work on things and it's just not getting any better, lack of compatibility, just feeling like there's no way around your issues. You know what I mean? Maybe happy wasn't the best word because I know some people will say, well, your partner isn't there to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy, and they just add to it. But I just feel like when you feel like there's no other way around your issues and you've already tried to work it out, then it's probably time to just end it.
Yeah, I think that's a very tough decision to know when to end it and when to say goodbye. I do think relationships have an expiration date sometimes. I'm not one of those people that think that all relationships, if you've made a commitment to each other, that you have to always have that commitment no matter what is going on. I think that it just is, I've seen relationships dissolve. I've seen relationships stick through really tough times, and I can't tell you what was the best situation. But I think for sure, if there's physical abuse, there might be a time, maybe if they can't get it under control or if they can't get treatment for it, I think physical abuse is definitely a reason to kind of think about dissolving it, because you could be, you could be in danger. And I think you need to work with a professional to think about how to leave a relationship that's physically abusive. It may not be the best thing to do to just up and leave, because bad things can really happen if you're in that type of toxic situation. It could be cheating. Marquise wrote in there, maybe cheating, but I have seen some marriages where there's been some infidelity, and if the other person is willing to own up to their part in that, if the cheating partner is the unfaithful partner is willing to go through the process of exploring why it happened, if they can connect with how they've hurt their partner, if they are remorseful, if they can establish trustworthiness in the relationship, then cheating may not be a deal breaker. But if they're not able to be accountable for their behavior, I think you should move on. You're just going to have a life. Unless you want an open marriage or open situation, you need to move on. So there's a lot of things like that you have to keep in mind. It takes a lot of soul searching. And I mean, and I've seen a lot of people, just when they feel like they fed up, maybe sometimes they just go around the corner again. Let's go around the block one more time, just to make sure that that it's time to end. So it is definitely a very sticky situation. If sometimes the relationship is holding you back from achieving some of your goals. So, maybe that's one reason to end a relationship. If there's a lot of arguing, almost like what Peace talked about, there's a lot of chaos going on. If you see some red flags, you start noting them and like, can I live the rest of my life like this? That's what you got to ask yourself, okay, considering what this person is showing me, is this something that I feel like I can live with? And if you feel terrible inside when you're around that person, thinking about the rest of your life with this person, it may be nice to start talking about this and getting some of this off your chest and talking about your idea about dissolving the relationship. See if the person can change and meet your needs. And if they're not willing to do it, I think it might be nice to move on.
I couldn't agree with everything both of you all said. I think if you know what you don't want, and actually having that self-worth to believe that what it is that you actually deserve can happen. I've been looking on TikTok, y'all know I'm the TikTok researcher on the and it's this woman, it's been a couple women that's saying, it can be bad if you don't ask for nothing and you get below what you didn't ask, like what you already didn't ask for. And, I think I saw another video where a man did like a remix to the video and added his take. And he said that he's always been underserved in relationships when he didn't speak on the things he needed and wanted. Like no one can read your mind. No one knows what it is that you believe that you deserve in order to achieve love and what you desire. So it's like having the courage to speak up and say, this is what I need. I know what I don't want. I know what it is that I do want. Are we able to meet in the middle of compromise? Maybe you have previous traumas, which I think through therapy, you're always going to be working through them. I don't think we've ever going to reach 100% healed state. So it's just like understanding, like, you're triggering me. Like, I let you know that something that you're doing has impacted me. You're triggering me right now. Like, are you cognizant of this energy? And it's just like, being courageous enough to actually say, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is how I want to be loved, because it is work and it's action. That's my take on it.
Oh my gosh. It's like, why can't you read my mind? No, we cannot read your mind. And I love the fact that you were saying it takes courage to speak up because first of all, okay, you have a need. I mean, first you have to recognize what your need is, and you say, okay, this is something that I really need, and I want this from my partner. You have to ask them for it. Okay, and even asking for it can cause a lot of fear because what if they say no? Everybody hates rejection. Nobody wants to be rejected. It's the worst feeling in the world to be rejected. But even if they say, oh yeah, I'll do this for you, I'll meet this need, then you're left with the anxiety of like, okay, are they really gonna come through for me, or are they not gonna come through for me? And then you have to wait and see if they're going to come through. And then what if they don't? I mean, the disappointment is like, good grief, I'll never do that again. But even if they do come through for you, it's like, whew, you feel better about it. But then you have other needs. So it takes a lot of courage and a lot of, you have to overcome this fear and being scared of being turned down and rejected and made to look crazy. It's like, a lot of men, but women too, feel like if they have a need, then and they have to ask for a need, they see that as a sign of weakness. And it's like I'm a weak person because I got to ask my wife for this, or I'm a weak person because I have to ask my partner for this. But and essentially, it's a sign of strength to ask for what you need. But we're so ingrained to believe that we have to be independent, and nobody's independent. You have to fulfill. If he can't fulfill my needs or she can't fulfill my needs, that's just fine. I'll just do it myself. I'll just do it. Why not? And it just puts so much stress and pressure because we're so told that to depend on somebody and to need somebody for something is like something's wrong with you because you're lacking and you need this. So it takes a lot of oh gosh, it takes a lot of insight to be able to do that, and it takes a lot of trust. You have to be able to trust that other person.
You talking that talk, Dr. Alicia. The next
Sorry, I'm so wordy.
Oh yeah, no, but you're doing amazing. And then M. Weem said marriage is about making a decision to be committed to meeting your spouse's needs for a lifetime. This is a win-win for both parties. I want to now go to the next person or next question. It says, how do you increase the longevity of a relationship? What are some things that you can do to increase the longevity since we are saying they're temporal? Let's offer a solution.
I don't really have an answer for that one. I think that maybe I'm too premature in this dating realm. I know people always say like spice things up or relearn your partner, continue to learn your partner, but I'm actually not sure on that one.
Revamp Soul, she said never stop dating.
I love all of these ideas. Yeah, go ahead.
She said never stop dating. I think whatever it was that when y'all first met and like whatever that energy is, like find ways to maybe cultivate that, like again, and to remember like why I guess you got started or what made you like that person in the beginning, right? Like that can increase it. And seeing that person as a friend, that's what I heard. I ain't got no man. So yeah, all this is coming from my theory, right? In theory, this is what I think. But I'm thinking if you see that person as your friend, not as your foe, not as somebody on the other side, that you actually see them on the same team, then I think that's when the respect comes and that's when the love comes. That's my thoughts.
That is so great, Jasmine. Okay, yeah, I really do. I think that you should never stop being curious about your partner. Like, just when you think you know them, like, oh God, I've heard that story about 5 different times because something else happened, you can have a different story to talk about. Just when you think you know them, you have to always keep that curiosity about them, because there could be aspects of them. We all change and grow and learn. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. You have to get to know me again. So that same curiosity you had right at the beginning, the honeymoon stage, when you're falling in love, sometimes maybe go back to that curiosity that you once had and say, you know what, tell me about yourself again, or even like, I think role plays is fun. It's almost who are you? Tell me about yourself. Like, pretend you're meeting each other for the first time and you're telling each other about yourself for the first time. That would be a really fun thing to do, especially if you've been together for a long time. I also think that I really do think, outside of, constraints, I really do think you should treat your partner like you would treat a newborn baby.
Dive into that, Dr. Alicia. Dive in, please.
I do. I really do think that if your partner is hurting, I think you should drop everything and go find out what's wrong with them. Treat them like a baby. If a baby is crying, you're not gonna get mad at that baby for crying. You're gonna be like, "Ooh, hold on, my baby crying. Let me go get my baby." I think you should do that. I think you should treat each other that way. If your partner, if your husband or spouse or someone you're in a committed relationship, if anything happens to them and they're in any sort of pain, even if they stomp their toe, don't make it unusual for you to just be responsive to them, be available to them, and engage with them. That's the hallmark of a secure relationship. To know that above and beyond anybody else, that's your go-to person that's going to be there for you no matter what. And when that starts breaking down, that's when the arguments come up. It's an attachment thing. It's attachment needs. And I personally think that is, if you did that, you wouldn't have arguments as much.
That's good. Peace, you got any other thoughts?
No, I was gonna say I really do like that, because it does make sense. If you tend to their needs, you're very caring and considerate, even if it's just something small, like you said, they stub their toe and you're just acknowledging it. You know what I mean? Or offering a Band-Aid or an ice pack. So I think sometimes we may look at that as being like a lot, but in reality, it's really not. And it's what we all want. So why not give it to others?
Why not? If you love them, make them feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on in. Don't hold back. Pull it all the stops. I'm telling you, pull it all the stops. Ask them every day, what is it I can do for you today to make you feel loved? And then do it. You got to do it, though. No matter what it is. It has to be done. And you'll be surprised what they'll ask. There's so many times I have, years ago, and when I first started doing couples counseling, I would ask that question. It would be a scenario that I would lay in front of them, people, is that ask each other, what is it that I can do today to make you feel loved? And chances are, what the most common answer is when I present that scenario? The most common answer is, oh, you know what? A hug would be nice. That's the most common answer I get. No one's asking for money. No one's asking for anything material. Usually it's like, I want you to hold my hand. Could you give me a hug? It's usually something really practical like that. So I really do think that that's a way to keep the longevity, is say, every single day, what can I do today?
I love that. I really do. I think as we've been talking, something that reigns like strong in my mind is your commitment to the process whenever you do find someone that is worth the time. Is the list, I've heard things about having a list, not having a list. Do you, Dr. Alicia, think that a person when they're dating should have a list to see that it's worth longevity if that person is meeting the things on the list or if they're not?
Oh, I think relationships are so much better than having a checklist. I think that I know, and it sounds real tacky, but I think it's true. It's and very cliche. It's like make a list of all things you want in a partner, and then you become everything on that list, and then you'll find your partner. Like I've heard that. It makes sense though, that if what you're looking for, like my mom used to tell me when I was little and I'd be in a new situation, and she'd be like, well, if you want to make a friend, you gotta be a friend. And then she used to say that to me all the time. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna be friendly. And then sure enough, I make friends, you know. So I think that's what it is. Like if you wanna be in a relationship with someone who's honest, then you got to be honest. You know, it's almost like you need to embody all of the things that you think you want in a relationship. I do think it's good to have some standards. I'm not saying just connect and date with anybody, but I'm saying I don't think that you should have a list of 5 things, and if they don't check off all 5 of those things, you should throw them out the door. I think that whatever your list is, you should really think about why it's on your list, why it's important to you. There's some core things with me that I just can't. Like, if you don't have this core item, and it's a personal list, but it's if you don't have these core things, I wouldn't. It just can't work. But so you do need to have like some core, like must have, and then nice to have. So yeah, I have a list.
That's good. Peace. Should you have one? Should you not have one?
No, I don't think that you should. I definitely think that you should have standards, but I don't think that you should have a checklist. I feel like that is a part of the reason that relationships are so temporary, because it's like, people let their ego get involved. People, like you said, they don't have these, oh, this would be nice. They have these, you have to fit this standard. You have to look this way. You have to make this money. You have to blah, 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 know how to cook, whatever, right? And then you end up, in my opinion, letting go of people that could have been a great option for you, but you didn't initially feel like they, checked off those things, because some of those things you can check off later on, right? Like someone can learn to do some of the things on your checklist, or they can grow in certain areas, or they can become certain things. But if you don't see it initially, to just say, no, I don't think that's smart.
I like that. I like that. I think now it's time for us to ask the guests that are here. Do you all have any questions that you want us to answer, or have any thoughts based off today's discussion on why relationships so temporary? I think one of the things I love about coming is that it's a continual conversation, because every relationship is different. Every combo, no matter if it's same sex, not the same sex, like every combination of people are so different. So, let's just go ahead and read what people are saying, and if you have any questions.
I'm looking at James Sharp. Thank you for hanging in with us, James. I thought I kind of gave you some. I thought I kind of gave you some heat a little bit there earlier. Okay, controversial statement. I speak to the men. Okay, men need game in marriage because the game never ends in marriage. Oh, I always flirt with her. Keep things. What does that say? Oh, keep things sexy. And yes, be her best lover ever in bed. Okay. Well, look at you, James. Okay, maybe that's this is James with the emotional wife. Thank you for that comment, James. Let's see. Someone says, M. Weems, be sincere, be accountable, be respectful. Yeah, that's a good point. The piece about accountability is really important. I think that nobody wants anybody to be perfect. You always make mistakes. I make mistakes in relationships all the time. Like, just because I'm a therapist doesn't mean I'm perfect when it comes to relationships. There are many times where I've had to say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize that was what was going on. Please, thank you for letting me know. Like, I'm open for feedback, and I'm open for, tell me what you need. What am I doing what am I not doing that I need to be doing? What am I doing that I need to stop? I'm always open for that. I'm always trying to improve, but I'm also being accountable for the times that I do get it wrong. and not to be defensive. A lot of people become very defensive. They think that because they made a mistake, then they are a mistake, which is different. It's just your behavior. You can't be perfect all the time. You're human. So yeah, I love the part about accountability is respectful, and definitely showing appreciation is very important. Thank you, M. Weems, for that one. Any other comment?
So we got some more in the chat.
Which one's interesting to you?
Me, she says, be teachable, show empathy when necessary, and be open to love.
Yeah.
Maui, he says, I feel that compatibility is key and it's a constant process. So I think all of these are just beautiful, notions of how to really apply just your everyday life to love, honestly.
Yeah, I like this compatibility. I like that because it doesn't mean that you have to be the same. I think it's important to have shared values, which is like core values. They need to overlap. But the thing is that you grew up in a household, your partner grew up in a different household, even if it's on the same block, it's still, even if it's in the same neighborhood, there's still going to be differences. So I think sometimes compatibility, maybe that means like shared core values, but just because there are some differences doesn't mean that you just celebrate the differences. You're like, you know what, he likes to play golf. I hate golf. I can't stand it, but it's okay. He can go and play golf and I'll go and do whatever I need to do. You don't have to agree to everything and have everything in common. But yes, compatibility for sure is key. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, did anybody have any last and final thoughts? I know we want to keep it underneath an hour. So, James, he can take the heat.
Oh, he didn't like the heat, James. That was
great.
My comment was with love. With love.
He's been letting us know how he feels today. Okay. Peace. Any final thoughts about, why relationships are so temporal? Let us know, and then tell the people where to find you, where to support you, and help her get to those 1,000 subscribers.
Yes. You guys can find me on Instagram at Itinerary T. So that is itinerary, like a travel itinerary, TEE. And then you can also follow me or subscribe on here at Peace Jones. I cover 3 main topics: travel, as well as dating and healing. So you can actually subscribe to me on here. I'm trying to hit that 1K, that 20K, that 2 million. Okay, so help me out. And no, I don't have any closing thoughts. This was really a great opportunity, and I thank you both for allowing me to join you tonight.
Thank you. For myself, as I close out, I think relationships, some come into your life a lesson or a season, and some can come into your life in a lifetime. You only got to get it right once. That's what I heard. Who knows if that's actually true or not? But I heard you got to get it right once, and opening yourself up to learning yourself with another person, or as the older we get, the more things we have to navigate with just our experiences. So my relationship's so temporary. I hope that you're able to listen to this episode and find some of our perspectives. We may not be all of the experts. Dr. Alicia, she is the therapist here, but we offered our perspective. So follow me everywhere at Jazz the Pretty Plug. And let's just keep the conversation going.
Yeah, I like that. I am the expert, but I'm also the student. I'm learning every day. There's research articles that come out all the time, and I'm reading them and trying to stay abreast about what we now know, the best knowledge that we know right now, knowing that what we knew 10 years ago made sense back then, but what we now know is almost like embrace change. And I know, James, I know what you mean by traditional, but I'm saying that also, relationships, marriage, parenting, all of these things, when you know better, you do better, and always be looking to do better. So I think that's important. And you're right, Jasmine. There are lessons to be learned. You pick the perfect person for you. The person that you need to learn a certain lesson with, that's the person that you pick. And you can't get it wrong. So you really do need to trust yourself, and sit with the process. It may not, your relationship, being courageous to not only talk about how you feel, what you think, what you need, it also is courageous to get with the person that you really want to be with and see where it goes, and be committed to who you are and committed to that other person. Um, maybe it'll last forever. And if it doesn't, you can learn your lesson and move on and be more the wiser.
I love that. So, you guys, this ends today's episode. Come back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. CST, where we will talk about all things drama-free Black love. We'll be talking to y'all soon. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll definitely be making sure you have a drama-free Black love. Bye.